Hi, my name is Tobi, and this is The Brief. Today we're going to be talking about design. So what is design? There's this argument about whether design is science or design is an art. Here's my take on it. Design involves solving problems, which has to do with a little bit of science, and then it also has to look appealing to people, which is also a form of art. So I would say design is both science and art. Steve Jobs says that design is not just what it looks like, it's not just what it feels like, but how it works. So design is a combination of science and art. Now, this is like a short definition on what design is. I believe design is a creative approach to problem solving. That is basically what design is meant to do, solve problems. The problem might be anything at all, from wanting to inspire an emotion or wanting to solve a business challenge. So what exactly is design not? Design is not a software, because basically when anyone hears design, the first thing that pops into their mind are design softwares, the ones around, the design softwares we have around. Design is not software. It involves principles that help solve problems. It's a creative way of problem solving. And design puts human needs at the center. So every design that anyone would make, and I'm talking about design is not just graphics. I know that's like the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear design. You think about a poster, a billboard. Design has to do with every phase of our lives. We have door handles. Door handles involves some form of design. Tables involve some form of design. So design encompasses all these various aspects of our lives. So any design that you're going to do, or anyone will do, should have human needs at the center of the solution. But design involves principles. So even as it's not, like I said, it's a combination of science and art, and like we know, science involves methodologies and principles. Now there are 5 basic principles that I consider to be of the most important. You could find more than that, there might be more than that, but there are 5 I consider to be the major principles. Number 1 is balance, and then we have hierarchy, we have emphasis, we have space, and then we have harmony. Balance can be achieved in different ways in design. We could vary line, texture, color, or form to achieve balance. To vary weights. And if you think about a table, for example, you see that a table has 4 legs, or some tables have 2 legs. Think about a table that has just 1 leg on one side. If you look at that design, you see that the design is flawed because it won't achieve its purpose. So balance is a very essential principle when it comes to design. Whenever you're about to design something, balance is one of the key principles you need to consider while designing. And then there are 2 forms of balance. We could have symmetrical balance and we could have asymmetrical balance. Think about, say, like the McDonald's logo, for example. If you look at the McDonald's logo, you see that there's a sense of balance, because what is on one side is also on the other side. That kind of balance is a symmetrical balance. Now, we also have some kind of like tables that, like I said earlier, there are some kind of tables that have, say, a straight leg on one end and then like a round leg on the other end. The balance is not symmetrical because it doesn't look the same way, but it's still balanced. The table is balanced and it's standing. The second principle is hierarchy. Now, hierarchy refers to the order in which the human eye scans information. So for instance, if you look at a poster, there's a certain order that you process all the information in. Now, this is an intentional process. It has to be an intentional process. Don't just scatter stuff all around design and then expect people to read it in the order you want to. So hierarchy is another key principle. Third principle is emphasis. Now, emphasis provides focal points for designs. So if you're driving down the road and you see a billboard, there are certain elements on the billboard that catches your attention first before you start looking around and seeing other things like who it's from and all that. So emphasis in design helps to create focal points for the design. So when people look at it, there's this thing that stands out in the design, which is like your main message or whatever it might be, whatever the design might be. Say in an interior design, if you get into some houses, the first thing you might notice might be the fireplace, because that's where the emphasis of the design was placed, say in the living room. So emphasis in design is also another key. Space or negative space is the next principle, and it refers to the empty part of the design layout. It's very important because as designers, you might feel the need to choke up your design with as much decorative elements or elements you feel are pleasing or appealing to the eyes. But as designers, you should also realize that negative space or empty space is very important. For it helps the users or whoever is going to interact with your design flow through every element of the design. The more space you have in your design, the easier it is for people to easily pick out the elements that you've put in your design. So try as much as possible to put only those things that are important, like very, very important, and allow for the flow of the user's eyes through your design. The next principle is harmony. Now, when all these other principles, balance, the hierarchy, emphasis, and the space, when they all come together, it provides this last principle, which is harmony. It provides a feeling of unity in your design. So those are the principles that I think that are the most important when it comes to any design. So if you think that there are other ones that are also more important, you can let us know down in the comment. And yes, and then if you want an in-depth explanation of these principles, you could also let us know down in the comments. Thank you for joining us today on The Brief.